Okay, hi there guys. I hope we're all doing well. I'm just waiting for a few more people to get on. It's a bit of a slow process with this. Look, let's just get started then. Welcome to TradeSetup, and it's the live stream for the 19th of October. Another grind high on the ASX. The US didn't do too much last night. They were up. I think the Dow kicked on quite hard, which is quite surprising compared to the broader market, which is it just seems like the bigger blue chips are the ones that are running. It's the big money going into those into the bigger companies on reporting. So it's interesting to see that the Dow's kicked on. I think it was up about 160.7%, closer to 1% than the actual broader market S&P. Was only up about, I think it was 0.01. Sorry. 0.1%, sorry. And the Dow's up 0.7, so that's quite interesting. No one's really got any interest in the smaller cap stocks over there at the moment. It looks like the money still keeps coming in. I think a lot of traders just see that they've got nowhere else to place their money to get the returns at the moment. US stocks are performing, so why change? Why put it anywhere else if it keeps going up so strong? So it's finally dragged us up, as we spoke about on Monday. ASX kicked on high, and it's just, I was sort of looking at it potentially getting to 59.50 or 6,000 just with this little push up. It could easily extend up to 6,000 and wash it out, so it's a good one just to keep an eye on. See what's happening there. Today, we'll just go over the markets quickly in just a second. We'll also, I've got a list here. We're starting to tighten the belts up a bit, tighten up the reins, I guess you could say. We just eased out of a few stocks that looked like they were going nowhere. I mean, if this market's had a good run up and they were doing nothing, it's probably prudent when the structure starts. It doesn't do what you think. Sometimes it's prudent just to lock it in, especially when the market's been going quite well. Because I mean, if that turns, then there's a good chance they're going to have a big sell-off. So we've sort of tightened the reins on a few. We've locked in a few. We closed out, I think, one or so at a small profit. We've closed out one at break even, and we've just closed out. So two at profits, small profits, one at break even. And we just tightened the risk on one other, and we've got some partial exits. So anything that was looking good was up quite strong. We're happy to take a partial exit on it. Just tighten up the reins, I said. So the ones we got left as alerts are the ones that are performing quite well. And they could, if the market does kick on, they could go on strong, whereas the others just look like they're struggling. So a bit of a risk balancing of our risk there. Let's get into it now. So if anyone new, just you can link into us on Twitter at the top left-hand corner. You'll see at trade_setup. Make sure it's underscores. I think there's another one that says TradeSetup. There's something completely different. What we'll do there, I'll be tweeting out things that I think are interesting, stuff that could be useful. We put up a few other things that we like. So we've got a few people we follow that I think are quite good and worthwhile following. So just link into there if you can. Top right-hand corner is on Facebook. Probably not much different to Twitter at the moment. Bottom right is subscribe to us on YouTube. That's probably the better one. You'll get a pop-up anytime we go live on anything at all. So if we do a special chat or talk or something like that, you'll get that alerted to you through YouTube once you subscribe to that. And also our general advice warning, don't give specific advice. So there you go, got it all done. Let's get into it now. I'll get my pretty handsome face up there, and we'll minimize that. All right, we're ready and raring. Right, you can see we're up about 6 points. I think we're up at 10 points before. We're not kicking on with it that strong. I'll show you the actual SPY chart. I think this is a 30-minute chart. And you can see recently, if you just look at that, that's the price action on the SPY. So that's a good indication that we're grinding higher, whether the market's kicking on with strength or whether it's starting to struggle. You can see previously, going right back to here when we broke through 57.40, the market sort of come back, retest it, and kicked on fairly strong during the day, and then consolidated at night. And next open, it kicked on strong. So it was doing that type of price action. This was a few days ago, off the 58.23, really powered on, up quite high. And then the previous session, this was the high. Only took out the highs, these highs after a nice strong session. Only took it out mildly, really. It did kick on, and then it had, I would consider a fairly deep correction of that little move up there. And then just today, we've only just popped through the highs at 58.89, We got to, I think it was 58.93, so only 4 points higher in this little push up today. So it's not showing a lot of conviction, or it looks like it is potentially running out of a bit of steam. It has had a healthy run up. You can see right off that 54.25, it's been grinding its way high, and that sort of correlates to obviously to the XJO, and that's kicking on quite strong as well. So I mean, if you go down and look at the XJO, let's just get over here. You can see that's really, it's more than anything, it's a good solid short squeeze. So we spoke about this, I think, on Monday, and it's good to note. Well, let's just go a bit more. Can everyone see that quite clearly? I've just got it a bit thicker. So that's that consolidation we had, just above 56.50. It kept holding there. I like it because it sort of pushed down and it started breaking out. To me, that was a bit of a sign like we were going to go high, but it didn't. It just kept holding those lows, but it was making those lower highs, and you know that there's going to be quite a few sellers jumping in, trying to preempt, the bears that are kicking off, looking good. G'day, Nendel. How are you, mate? The bears would have been kicking off quite vocal, and then they turn around and been squeezed back out again. So the good thing is, with this kind of move is quite strong. I mean, it would have been nice to see that pop up, pull back to build that high low, and then go. But considering the amount of time it's spent, doing nothing, the last few months, there have been a lot of people in there either loaded short, closed out their portfolio, looking for that deep correction so they can get in at cheaper prices. And so those two coupled together are really starting to get squeezed. They're either chasing the market up because they think they might have missed a boat, or you're short and you're chasing the market up trying to get out. It was all those people that had probably just got some other ones on the go, and they started to kick off just chasing the market as well. So I think a lot of people were caught either short here or caught napping, and that market's just powered on. No real reason really. It just kicked on up through this 57.50 and just kept going. So that's a nice little short squeeze in my book. And we know that there's been there's a lot of people on the ASX. The retail punters are loaded up short. I think it was at one stage, I don't know where it is now, it was around 70-something% shorts, so 75% shorts to 25% buyers. So that's a great fuel to squeeze them back out in this market to kick higher. Now at the moment, it is looking a bit extended, I think, up here, but there's absolutely no reason why it can't kick on. I mean, look at it, if you look way back in, market's extended, had a little minor pullback, then boom, went straight back up again. So it did clean out a few of those late buys and then straight back up. You've got a lot of times probably here when it started to look extended. Well, I didn't really go on with it there. But that could easily, and what I like about these moves, I kind of expect it to spike up through 59.50, and it's not much to ask to get up through 6,000, test that key resistance at 6,000. If you look at that, well, let's just go back. That weekly, you can see how right back at the start of 2015, markets headed south through there, started 2016, and then spent the rest of the year, a year and a half, heading higher. So it's not much to ask with this little move up, that little consolidation, and we've spoke about this a long time ago, sort of expecting that market, if it doesn't reach 6,000, I think we were talking about way back at the start of the year, if it didn't reach 6,000, just be aware that it has a bit of a pullback, drags in a lot of buys, that just to wash people out, and I thought it would go a bit lower. Well, I think we said that also. That sort of push down, maybe consolidate, maybe spike a bit lower, and then bang straight back up. Instead, it's just caught them all napping, like I said, and just heading its way high. But that type of consolidation, just it's really not that far below that major 6,000 level, especially after this leg up from way down at 4,700. A lot of the time, they consolidate, say, just below a resistance after just failing to reach it, then boom, straight up and through. Because a lot of people look at that as a lower high. Lower high compared to 6,000, think, oh, this is on for it, especially when you've got this type of price action on the daily charts. I think it's great. It's a great thing. I'm still sort of expecting that little spike up to at least 59.50, even 6,000. I think it could power before it. A lot of heat comes back out of that market. Then maybe you get consolidation around the highs, and then we keep going. And we spoke about this. All the bears are looking for that. Say the US to tip over. And then, our markets obviously to go with them. But just remember, we've done next to nothing. I think there was something I read this morning. I think it's actually, I've still got it somewhere. Let me just find it. There's a nice little, has anyone heard of Livewire? Livewire is like a news thing. You can get it on Twitter. We've followed it on Twitter. So we've got a couple we've liked on Twitter recently. Just articles. It's a good little, you can go to livewiremarkets.com and just have a look at that. So we found something I was reading something this morning that was quite good, and I was looking at the, your PEs, all sort of thing in the US. We're quite stagnant. We're really not overbought at all. Yet you look at the US, with regards to PEs, they're quite high. So there's a lot of these stocks are probably getting priced a bit higher than what they should do, or their long-term averages, whereas we're pretty much around our long-term average. If you think about it from that respect, what's going to happen? Obviously, there could be a major flow of money, just depending. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just remember, if we're undervalued and the rest of the world sees us as undervalued, potentially there could be a bit of a flow from overseas money into the market and then starting to support some prices for us as the US gets sold off. But then again, in saying that, when the market, the proverbial hits the fan, it hits the fan across the board. So it just depends how this happens and whether it happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. A bit of a sell-off in the US. Everyone's expecting it, but then again, everyone expects it. The market keeps grinding higher. You just got to remember, where else are they going to put their money? They're probably the only real place to put it at the moment is to start flowing into bonds. So the bigger money could start to go into bonds, the US bonds, as they're undervalued, as they start to raise rates. And that way, it looks more attractive to put them in lower yielding bonds at the moment and just watch those yields go up. You can see a lot of bigger money, if they're looking at the returns on bonds outperforming the returns, the future returns on your equities, considering it's gone so hard. So you might see a bit of money coming out of equities slowly. I think you may already see it in the US coming out, heading into bonds as they they look to raise rates. As the Fed's sticking to their guns. I think they're banking on a rate rise in December. If they continue to go the way they've expected. Now, actually, on that note, also look at the next Fed Reserve president. There is going to get voted in potentially. There's potential for a guy that's a lot more, bullish on rates, and he's a lot more aggressive on rate rises. Or he's touted for that, I guess. So if that's the case and they get in there, then there could be a bit more money coming out of equities into bonds. If that's the case, if they're going to raise rates, it's going to be better returns in bonds compared to longer term returns in bonds than compared to equities. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. That could be the key tipping point for the US at stretch levels at the moment. But until that really kicks off, I don't think much is going to. It's just going to continue grinding higher. It's not going to be anything. I wouldn't suggest anything out of hand, but it could definitely be a sort of a point to watch out. Just watch out for your US bonds anyway. We'll see how that goes, whether I'm right or wrong, who knows, but it could be a bit of overseas money flowing over into Australia as looking for yield on their dollar. And just depending if... but then again, you've probably got the Aussie... Nah, probably not too bad, actually. That would happen, wouldn't it? The US dollar would probably grind higher with higher rates. And then, the Aussie dollar goes lower, making it more attractive to buy Aussie at low yields. And then if it turns around and heads high again, who knows? There's a lot to it, but that could happen. Anyway, I've yabbered on a bit about that. Let's look at the Dow. Does anyone look at that Dow little pop up through that 23,000 we got the daily? You can see that 23,000 level. That's close. Am I missing something there? Why do I feel like I'm missing a day? 18th. No, that's right. Yeah. So I think intraday 2 nights ago it popped up above 23,000 by 2 points, and then yesterday it's opened up stronger and continued on into the close on the Dow. So that looks potentially, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. See how it's extended now, and that's something we could expect on our market. No reason why it can't just do that. Overextended, have a minor little pullback, and then go on strong and just stay overextended for the next 100, 200 points. If we can power through that 6,000 level. But that Dow's looking strong. Look at the weekly. Nothing's turning just yet. We can say it's overextended, but there's really no reason why you shouldn't be in the market, I think, at the moment. You buy quality stocks if you've just really got to follow the market and just be wary that things could easily roll over. And what's your exit strategy? What are you going to do if things start to roll over a bit? But the last thing you want to do, if this thing powers along, especially our market powers along, kicks on through 6,000 and away we go, and stays overextended, you could be missing out on quite a bit. Does that make sense? So it's good. It's good to have a few chips on the table. Well, that's the way we're playing it anyway. Look at the Dow, the S&P. That's the S&P, same sort of thing. Well, that's not what I wanted, was it? Just 1 second here, guys. FTSE, just getting up towards the highs. It's holding up here. We just have to see how that goes. Maybe they're going to have a few problems with the old Brexit, and that could tip them over. The DAX is just kicking through into new all-time highs as well. So that's, it's, again, they're all looking a bit extended, but there's no reason why they can't keep going. A lot of these markets like to push into overextended levels and sort of hold them. And just remember, there's going to be a lot of punters selling the market because it's overextended for the pure reason they're trying to take a punt on the market rolling over. Unless you've got some sort of price action confirmation, it's kind of pointless because you would just be the fuel to grind higher. What's everyone else's thoughts anyway? Chuck in a comment if you feel like it. If you feel like I'm not talking rubbish. So with ours, in saying all that, we started unwinding a few things. AUB is one we took off the board yesterday above 13. We locked in a small gain on that because we had the dividend as well. So we were in at 13.18. I think we got out at 13.07. 13.06. And with a 25 or something gain, it put us in a small profit. We just wanted to lock in a small profit on that. Not too keen on that. Although the weekly actually doesn't look too bad, it's this couple of red candles. I didn't like that price action at all. It is still holding up, so it could go. But look at these two sort of wicks as well. There's wicky. It's getting a bit wicky to the upside, and it pops up, bang, sold back off during the day. Don't like that kind of price action, and it's not the world's heavily traded stock. It's kind of thin, so this thing could have easily taken off to the downside. So that I wasn't too keen on that to appreciate, and considering where the ASX has gone from say 5,700 up to 5,900, and this has done nothing, I'd rather lock in the gain and take the chance. And if it does kick on without us, so be it. Who cares? But the probability that if the market rolls over from here, if we do react off 59, 59.50, I would expect this thing to go hammering through 12.60. So I'd rather just lock in some gains now, and something I'm not too confident with anyway. And the other one was Gem. We closed out that. Just taking into account, let's go to another one. I'll go here. GEM. That weekly doesn't look too bad. The problem I'm finding, you can see up here, it's just got through these highs. The high up here, what was that, just about 420. Touched on 420 again up here. Had to back off, built these higher lows. It's just pushed up through 420. But you can see how much effort it's taken to get up there. I don't like that too much, and that's again sort of that ASX. We're sitting on a small gain. Why not take it? And you can see the weekly starting to get it stretched. It's getting stretched up here on the daily as well. How much can this grind higher? So happy to take that one off the table as well. We locked in a gain on that. What was the other one? B&O today. B&O is one that it's just starting to look like it's struggling. I don't like. And if you go back to the weekly, we've had this market push down. It's popped up. We built this higher low, but we've touched on it a few times. And then the more we touch it, I just get that feeling that it doesn't want to get through there. It may have to have a spike lower to build another high low before going, and we would have got stopped out. And considering, again, where the overall market is, this one doesn't look like it wants to perform to the upside. For my liking from here, we got in at this little green candle. It should have gone on with it. Even here, it should have gone on with it. From here, it probably should have gone on with it. I didn't like this pullback right back down to these sort of 45.5 level. This little spike up in this red candle, I don't like that. I'd sort of betting that it's going to wash out, flush out a few of these buyers, potentially down through 42, pull back to say 40 or somewhere around there, and maybe start building again. But I'd rather be out of this. It's not a heavily traded one either. The volume hasn't done anything, so it hasn't picked up at all. So I'd rather just play it safe and get out of that one while we got a chance. What was the other ones? We've got APT kicked on strong. If I can spell it. Has anyone got this APT? That's going awesome. Really like that one. And it's probably around that, I'm thinking around 570, 75. And the reason why I get that level is, say, from $3 up to these high, if you take it up to that high of 75, $1.75. Add that roughly to round from 4. Takes you to $5.75. So it's just projecting that initial leg up, project it up. It could start running out of steam there. Happy to take one on a spike. We took a partial on a spike. And what I will be doing is just raising those. Or have we raised it? I can't remember what I put my stop at the moment. APT 420. So we'll be raising that. Just, you know, potentially just below this. I'll have to see. I just want to put it somewhere where if it comes all the way back down and gets us, it's not a good sign. Oh, great, Helen. How'd you go on it? So anyway, if it comes back down and gets us, it wouldn't be a good sign, and you're probably thinking that it's not going to go on with it. So we'll just keep an eye on this one. I think it's a good quality company. It's doing some good things. They're kicking on. If you go through the news flow, they've done quite well, I think, with put on new clients, increasing their funds. They're doing quite well. What else we got? So that was APT. Sold at 520. What did we take it at 520 as well? Did you beat us, John, or did you get... Oh, you did too. Good work. We got 508. You probably got end of day, didn't you? That's nice. Are you out? Are you guys out taking 2 lots off profit off selling into strength this morning? Yeah, good work. And that's another thing when you see this kind of move and the ASX, and you know, when you have a really good run, there's it's a good argument to just start taking some off, because we picked up on our portfolio, you know, 5 or 6% in the last week or so. That's great. We're happy with that. And then sometimes better. Thanks, John. Just rubbing it in, aren't you? Who's the pro? But, you know, it's a good opportunity when you see that type of strength. Just sell into some strength there, like Helen was just mentioning. Not a bad idea, at least to take some. I like to keep some on just to see what can happen. You never know if this thing... A lot of times, I use that projection as a bit of a guide. Say we talked from 5 to 5.75, that $1.75. A lot of the times it can really outperform as there's people just chasing their tail all the way up. They just chase it for whatever reason. So it can go on a bit harder than what you think. If you start to see a couple of red candles, we might get, who knows, and it might be worth, on this one at least, closing out completely, considering what's happening with the ASX as well, locking in gains. But yeah, that's what we're just trying to be a bit more prudent with what we've got. You know, everyone knows that with your own trading, or with my trading at least, if I have a good run, there's a good chance it's becoming a higher probability that I'm going to stuff things up. And I'll be honest with you. When you have a good run, you have a lot of your win rate goes from, say, my average of around the 60 mark. If I kicks up to 70, 75, I have a really good win rate and some really gun trades. I know that probably things are going to come back to the average. Longer term, they're going to come back to the average. So I'm probably going to expect to have a few losses in a row. And it's the same thing with these kind of markets. You know, the things kick on quite heavily. You do quite well. Some of your stocks really kick on, like this one. We've got Cans kicking up as well. A few others. You know, taking the profits, locking some partials in, and just tightening up on all of them, because it's probably going to become a time when the market's going to roll over. The harder it goes up, you know, what's the old saying? What goes up must come down. You don't want to pick the top. We might be leaving a lot on the table. We might leave next to nothing on the table. Who knows? It's all about being consistent and consistently putting profits, you know, in your bank, I guess. What else we got? Jim, I can't quite remember. Can. I've gone Can's another one. We've got a partial in at 39. It looks like it's getting played a bit, which is fine with me. As long as it gets played through 39, I'd be happy with that. And we're happy just to take something off up here, you know, just below that 140, take half off, book it. I think that would be around the 10-12% gain. Let me just check. I've got to type it in. So I'm just using my spreadsheet here. 1.39 would be a 12% gainer on that. So at the moment we're up at 37. We're up about 10.5% on that. So look, I'd be happy at 37 to 39 just to take something off. Yeah, That's right, BJ. A lot of these, I'm a bit of a, and I've worked in full service broking as well, and I just know the way they work. Update your price target. If it hits it, you look like a legend, and you don't look too bad if it doesn't quite get there. You can always bring your price target down as the market moves down. For me, there's a difference between analysis and trading. Two different things. And I probably learned that in the past. I don't tend to go off that. Looking at these sorts of things. So I don't know how to say it nicely. Traders will trade it. They'll always trade it, and waiting till it gets there. Imagine the kind of selling there at 7:30. You probably find they've upgraded it because they're trying to sell a bit lower. That's me being really negative. Was that on? That was APT, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a big move up, isn't it? 7:30. Look, it could easily be that. Who knows? Longer term, I just think this little leg up. I mean, the way I attack it, this leg up is probably going to start getting extended soon. I'm happy to take some, put it on the, like I said, bank some profits. There's no reason why longer term, it may take another 6 months. I don't think it's going to be in this leg up to 7, pushing up to 7:30. It's going to be over. Exactly. I think I'd rather take some off. I'd rather exit, and even exit fully. If it goes up there, I doubt it. I mean, it's a very low probability to push straight up there, but what it could easily do is have that back, like this. It can pull back, build a higher low, and then goes again. Why not get back on board again if you think that's going to happen, if their profit target's up towards 7:30? And like you said, it is probably fueling the buying up there. It'd be interesting to see what happens. Can you just keep us informed on what they do with that? It'd be interesting to see what they say. Like I said, if you're a really good analyst, you're probably not a good trader. And like I said, I've worked full service equities before, and they're all geared towards buying. And some of the funny games that go on, I know there was one particular company, I won't mention it, but I know that they had a particular stock. It was a big company too. It's not bigger than Bell's. One of the big boys, they come out and their research was saying to buy this stock, they were buyers of that, they had a profit target. And then, what was it? Or no, it was reversed. They said they went to neutral, or they were selling it. They didn't believe it was a good buy anymore. They were selling it, but the problem is, I think so that was their analyst saying on a particular company, but then they did a capital raising for that company. Now you can't have all of a sudden those sell recommendations disappeared. It's because you can't have them doing a capital raising if no one thinks the company doesn't think it's a good stock. Does that make sense? So it's sort of like someone's walked into one area of the company, walked in the other, said, "Guys, can you just pull your sell recommendation on this stock because we're doing a capital raise and we want people to jump in. It's going to hurt their capital raises." So it's kind of interesting the way, and that's definitely happened. And it probably hasn't been the first time, but it's sort of that's why I don't put a lot of faith into these analyst targets and things like that. I'd rather trade exactly what I see, and if they're right and I've got out of it all at say 570, I just close out the whole lot at 570. It keeps going to 730. It's not the first time it's happened to me, but don't complain when you've got 50%. What do we got on it? Say, what are we at now? After pay 543, it'll probably be somewhere around 24, 5, 6. Probably about 30%. Say 30% gainer. I'm never going to get angry at taking a 30% gainer. Yeah, so it's interesting stuff. It's great. Like, I'm always an advocate to see what everyone else is doing, but also trading what you see. Never get too influenced because you never know what the underlying what their aim is, or what their bias is, or what their end game is. You don't know. And a lot of these big companies, they might have a fund. Imagine having fun. This is me being very negative towards all this sort of stuff. They might put out a buy recommendation or lift their buy recommendation. Especially a big fund saying we're targeting this, it's miles up, and so they get buyers start to stack up again because it's a well-known fund and they're pushing it up. They could just be selling into that strength, because we're not the only ones like selling into strength, but they just have a lot more of the stock to get out of. So why would they say we're going to sell it? We don't like it here at this price. They would never tell you they're going to exit. Say if they bought APT here, they bought it somewhere around, say the $4, and they had a big. I'm saying just in here, and if they had a big buying and they were buying it in here, they're not going to tell you that they're getting out at 550 or 560, are they? Because everyone will beat them to the punch, move the stock down, and they can't get out of what they need to get out of. So that's just, yeah, just guessing all this stuff, obviously. So yeah, but I find that stuff interesting. Now, a couple of that we're interested in, I might as well kick off with those. Just get ready, guys, to put into some ones. ELS, what is it doing? What is ELS then, VJ? Whoa! Nice. Is that everything, is it? Okay. What do? ELS. They do video data capturing, recording, transmission of various real tactical security and surveillance purposes. Okay. That's an interesting chart. Are you actually in this one, VJ? Or are you hoping for a pullback? Yeah, cool. 30 cents. Oh, nice. Are you still in? Ah, good. Yeah, sometimes you don't really care what they do you? If you see something that looks good, buy it and then find out what they do later. All right, so we've got a couple that I don't mind too much. Great work. I'm not a big one for that. I mean, you probably know I'm more of a, like we said, a supply-demand trader. You know, your technical side than looking at your fundamentals. But I always like to check what exactly they're doing. If they're in an area that's quite... What's happening with Telstra? We'll have a look at that in a second, Michelle. Okay, Michelle. He's just rubbing it in. Anyway, so we got CKF. It's probably these last couple of days. Is this a weekly? This is a daily. Look at that weekly chart. I actually like that. That's quite nice. Apart from probably the last couple of days, but there's no reason why it can't spike up. It's still holding quite nicely if you draw that up. It's the weekly that looks quite good. If it pushes down, say below 530.75, and this is CKF, Collins Food, then yeah, that's starting to look a bit weaker. Yeah, this is all. I like the old banter. It's good fun. Keeps me amused for a while. Yeah, so this here, if you just follow this up, this is a beautiful little price action. And so these inside levels, remember we've spoken about this quite a bit. I'll draw it up. Why I like it is the potential for that inside level to be developing on Collins Food, especially on the weekly, which could lead to a nice strong leg up. And by, if you don't know, by inside levels, come on, mouse. Mouse having a bit of a hissy fit lately. All right, inside level is this. So what you're getting is that the market's up, it's holding higher lows, but it's also contracting in on itself. So you're getting this, you know, push down, push up, push down, push up. And I like this inside break. You know, as soon as you get that inside break, it's generally near the end of contraction, and you're looking for that to power up and out of contraction. Then it just probably here's a really nice example too. It's not really an inside level, but that's a high probability setup. It means that you're really holding those higher lows. See, if you could look here, we haven't broken through that inside level at all. We've just sort of bounced around. We've popped up. We've had a good couple of candles down, and then we've turned around, built a higher low just here, and we've powered up. And that's your inside break. I like that. Inside continuation trade, we call it. Nah, do it. If you get a good winner like that, always gloat. It's good fun gloating. Anyway, what am I talking about? I got sidetracked again. So that's your inside continuation trade for anyone that doesn't know. We like that, especially when it comes to that point where the market's coming to a point. It's got to break either way. So generally when you get that type of setup and it breaks up, it's good that you're front running a nice strong breakout. Then you've got that. You probably got an extra little trade entry here. So if you're looking to add, you can add through that $5 mark and just see if you can kick on through your initially you're going to look through that break. So you're looking for the market's popped up, it's consolidated, you got some lower highs. So what's happening is that we call it a macro correction here, and it's continuing on with a secondary leg up. So generally you're looking for that to power through those highs, you know, which is just previous highs at just above 510, say 525, around 525. So what we look like we're getting here is potentially the same type of thing. If we can hold that, it's probably a bit higher, and there is potential for that to pop down through this low. But that's on this is the weekly chart, so that's why I like the weekly. So if you go down to the daily and we just draw that up again. Can anyone hear my music? Is it too loud? Is it annoying? Keeps me entertained. Yeah, so we've got that's your level we were talking about, and just off there, you know, the market's grinding higher, and then we've got it across these highs. You can see, so the market's coming to a point where it's got to break either way. Now, the last couple of days, it looks like it could push down. Now, if it pushes down through that 590 zone, or even you give it a bit of room through 580, there's a good chance it's going to have a deeper correction, and we're going to break or retest that 565, maybe push down there, and then you get your one, market pops up, 2 legs down, and then we start building from there. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. But if we turn around and pop up through, ideally through that 615 mark, that 615 resistance, then I think we're going to be gunning for at least up and through, you know, 670. Yeah, 670. I've drawn that a bit skew-if there. Those highs around 670. And then we might have that another leg up. So it's a good place. You can easily get it up through 615. You can have your risk just below here, and with at least 1.5, potentially 2 to 1. Okay, I think it's, sorry VJ, sorry Helen, it could have a lot to do with just the stream. Is everyone else getting that, where the screen goes a bit fuzzy? Have you got it on your settings? Are you going to quality at 720? High def? That's just here, by the way. If you're just clicking on here, quality, just go to high def. I don't know if that's going to help out too much, but whoop, that's basically what we're looking at. Okay, no, all right. Just you, Helen. I won't be mean, but deal with it, eh? All right. So that's one. Collins Food, don't mind that at all. What else? There's another couple we're looking at. PPS went on without us, which is a bit of a bummer. That was more the weekly chart. That was more that continuation trade, you can see. If I draw that up. So sometimes, I don't like that, do I? Let's just draw that a bit closer. So again, this is the weekly that we liked on, this is Premium. Now Premium provide that platform. It's mainly for, not trading platform, it's a reporting platform for, what are they called? The guys that do next anyway, I can't remember now. You know, you can lob your stocks on there. It does all your reporting for you. That's what they do. So they've got a lot of God, I'm completely blank on it. Let's see. It's annoying me now. Now Premium do managed account. Financial planners use them a lot. Okay, so it's your platforms. Your financial planners have your funds linked in there. You know, anything like that. If you have some stocks, you can link it in there, and just whoop, let's get rid of that. It does all your reporting. So we've been going from strength to strength on Premium. I like them, and you can see by that market holding up, and you've got this little high low that was building in here. Then you got this inside high low on the weekly charts. Now, just same sort of thing. You know, take it across the highs, and there was that chance that once we got up through that, was it 7.45 cents, at 45 cent level, it was going to go on with it. I didn't expect it to go that strong and just bang up through those highs. So it's a bit of a bummer that we missed out on that. But you can see that weekly strength is really nice, and it's probably did something similar. If I can get that, if my mouse works, you got that high low, and the market's just popped up here. It's retested those highs. It's had a deeper correction down here just to wash out the previous low, and then boom, it's gone straight back up again. You probably had a nice little entry through here on the weekly anyway, where you can minimize your risk. That's a nice entry through there. and then it's just continued on to the highs through 52.5. So that was nice. If we go down to that daily chart, well, you can see that's the levels through here, through that 45, just went bang. It was a bit hard to trade that because you had a couple of down days. It was looking at, a bit of weakness there, and then it just opened up, gapped up. I think gapped, pushed back down, so you could have got a nice little entry, I guess, through there in hindsight, but it was just a tough one to trade. From what I look for in my my entries, anyway, it was a tough one to trade, but it has gone quite nicely. I still think that's got a lot of potential on premium. If they keep doing what they're doing, longer term, this could easily be up through $1. And look at the monthly chart. It's just starting to build on the monthly. It's got easily up towards that $1.10 mark again, where it's previously been. Spent a lot of time building. It's just been building. So if this just grinds higher, sooner or later it's going to start to accelerate. All right, so that's another good one. And this is another one. I just want to show you this one. It's a smallie. No, I can't spell. T-O-N, N for Nelly, not M for Mary. N for Nelly, T-O-N. Triton Minerals. Is this a weekly? Is that the one? That's not it, is it? Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. So it just looks a bit strange on the fatter charts. So you've got, well, we'll go to the daily. We don't need to go to the weekly. You can see the market sort of headed south. It popped up here. Good reaction off there. It's coming down. It's still holding those lower highs. And you can see if you draw that up. Oh, I did it again. I don't like that. Let's just do one more thing. So get ready to, once I do this one, guys, put in some codes. We'll have a quick look at them. So you can see the market's, heading south. It's holding some lower highs. The market pushes down, washes out to new lows at 4 cents. But the Zen's turned around and had this little spike up to 11.5, and it's took out, sort of in one foul swoop, a couple of highs, and it's traded through that 10-cent mark. I like this if it can hold, and you can see it's taken a lot of effort to push it back down again. You can see the market from being overbought to oversold, and looking at stochastics, it could just hover around here. But if we start to hold up around that 8-cent mark, and the selling that comes in is getting soaked up by the Sig, no worries, and Philip, g'day mate. If that sellers get soaked up by that buying at those higher prices, and we start to see a higher low build, that would be a nice one for a push up through 11.5, I'd expect, because it spent a lot of time doing nothing. Okay, so I sort of like that one for that that move up, that secondary move up. You've had that little push up through 10 on the weekly. We pull back, we hold. It might take a bit of time to play out if we start holding these levels, and you might see more. Just go back to the daily. Just clear all this. You might see more of this type of price action. It keeps washing out some of these late buys. So we're washing out a few at the moment. Buyers are stepping in. You can see that. We've had this little washout, sort of chopping around here. It's had a little push down towards that 8 mark. Now, if we just continue that on, just look for that little kick up, and then I'd look for that higher low. I think that could power on quite well. But I think it's probably got a lot of work to do still, just looking at this weekly chart, but just look for that start curling back up again. If it gets that type of price action, it could be a nice one to jump into. We've got our eye on this anyway. It's not trading a lot, you can see. It's got a few in there though. Yeah, if you're not doing large quantities, it could be one that can kick on quite strong. Now that's it. Let's look at, feel free to put in some charts now, guys. We'll look into it. We've got one so far. We've got Sigma Healthcare. We'll go, the weekly chart. Honestly, what I don't like about this one, I was liking it probably right up until this, this belting where it gapped down. Do you know what that was? If we can go back and look at the news flow, that was somewhere around 24th of May. When I got belted, trading update. Oh, My Chemist Warehouse Group. has been in ongoing discussion in relation to operation of certain aspects of current supply agreement. As part of this, offers of mediation and binding arbitrage were also proposed. Obviously, it was something not Clark traders didn't like that. Okay, so that was a bit of a bummer for the traders. So it got smashed down there. I was probably up until then, the weekly didn't look too bad. It was starting to look like it was having the potential. Probably you can go to here, looking like we're starting to hold higher lows just at this stage here. Up until you get a bit of seller, so someone's got a bit of a heads up there. You've got a bit of selling that's knocked it back down, because really it was looking okay, especially with this. Let's do that again. With this little pop up, just want to show. So the market was looking okay here. It just got through that that little high in here. It didn't get too far. It did just pop up to sort of, if we can take that from the high, just popped up to the high. So it was more in a bit of a range there. It was just chopping around. Up until at this stage, I would have expected it to go up and through this high. It would have been nice. And it was actually looking like it was building up till there. So you've got a bit of someone's got a heads up that something was happening, and then bang, you get that big gap down. That sell off the last few days, that was quite heavy. You know that people knew something back then. And then it got open, obviously gap down on the open on the 24th. And it's just this price action here. You need, this is a bit like one that we've had on, I can't remember what it is now, RAP. Something bad happened. And then people got a bit of a heads up on it. But I think it's got a lot of work to do here to wash them back out of the market. Okay. So I think this move here it's still got some work to do. It's not, you've got this initial reaction back up, and then you've got this push back down. I think it could just spend a lot of time just chopping around through here before it's washed out a lot of these old buyers, like a lot of those sort of legacy buyers. Just wait a second there, guys. Just be 1 second there, guys. Just be a minute. All right, sorry there, guys. Bit of a dart out and back again. So this one on Sigma, I think it's the weekly. And so what that's come down, it's come back down into this zone, you know, around that 70 to 85, 90 mark. It's come back in there, so I think it's got a fair bit of work to do. I'd have to see it pop up through, you know, essentially $1 just by looking at that weekly. I want to see it push up through $1 and then pull back and build a higher low. I think that's going to take a lot of time to play out before I'd be happy that buyers are stepping in. Right here, there's no evidence for me that buyers are stepping into the market. It's more that there's still some sellers, you know, some old buyers that want to get out. There's more selling pressure still. This kind of action here is more, how you say, opportunistic. You got that little push up, that little pop up, and then the selling pressure is coming back in. You can see that lower high here, pushing down. I'm sort of expecting that more to go through 80 than anything else, but we'll see how that goes. What else have we got? SIG PME. Let's look at PME. Is this your bragging stock? Is this your bragging stock there, Helen? Is this what we spoke about the other day? It looks awesome. Okay. Sorry, guys. Can I just be back in 1 minute? All right, back on there, guys. Let's just adjust that camera. That's probably a bit better. Turn it around. There we are. Right. Yeah, if you're looking for an entry, I'm probably I think it's starting to get a bit extended. I would have really liked it through here, and I think I've got a feeling we alerted this a long time ago. Missed it. How do you spell PME? No, maybe we didn't. All right, no. All right, so we didn't. All right, so we've got with this here. I'm looking at it. You can see stochastic up there. That strength up and that push up's been quite strong on a weekly basis. This is your weekly chart, and we're coming up into that resistance. So if you're going to buy it up here, it's you say it's a low probability trade, really. I mean, it could easily keep going. We know that, and the market doesn't mean it's just going to stop, but you're probably expecting some sort of reaction off these highs, which was up at 634, and we've got a high today of, that's not right, is it? High 660. Yeah, we're up at 650 now, so it's only another 10 cents away, but this could easily just press up 10 cents, maybe wash out those highs. But then I would expect a bit of a reaction off that level and then build a higher low. And then potentially if it builds a higher low and starts just chopping around, you know, like this type of price section, then I'll be looking for that extension. I think that would, yeah, exactly. So I would expect, oh, I've done it again. Snap. I would expect to see something. I want to see buyers come out of the market. I just want to see a bit of price action. Say that's your, so we know it's roughly around 660. Just say we've had this little leg up here. Whoop, that's not right. So we pushed up, fell a bit short. We've done this, and we press up into 660. Whether it washes that level out, pops up to 665, 70, who knows? But if it reacts off there, I want to see this type of thing. I want to see it take out some of these late buys, maybe take out that level. And then if it can just hover around here and hold at highs, then I'll be looking for those higher lows, you know, that type of thing. And I think it's a nice little reaction when it holds up at high levels, and then you see buyers start to step in with higher lows. It's good that it's going to blast up and through those highs, and that would be great because that actual weekly chart looks good. But yeah, anyway, that could just power on, couldn't it? Suicide levels. I like that level. All right, SLC. How are you, Greg? There's a couple of things. I'd say it's early, but there is some nice potential on this one. I like it. So we'll draw up the weekly first. Superloop. We've had this before, I'm sure of it. I say that about everything because I think we look at just about every stock. So you've got a key support through there. You can see that quite clearly. You know, it's. I think that was when it first come on. Had that little pop up. So whoever held it release to the ASX pre-float, the market's pushed up. They've taken their profits. And they slowly edged back out of the markets. Washed them all out. Look at that entry there, guys. I love that. That little higher low just in here, that's preempting that sort of break back up again. That's nice, and it probably didn't do it. You know, it did it a bit here, but that's not as nice. I didn't think that's too savage down. That's just sort of popping up, push back down, especially after you get a retest of the lows. When you retest the lows, it's a lot better. Getting this higher low than this higher low just in here. So that's nice little entry through there, especially if you went down to the daily, and that led to a nice pop up. You know, one leg up, pull back. Actually, if we measured that out, what would that be? It'd be nice if we can actually measure that. But anyway, it's probably somewhere around 170 is up to those highs, but that's probably about the same as, you know, that type of leg up there. So you can see how a lot of times that volatility projection we use just to, if you're bought it in here and you rode through this, or if you bought it here, for instance, in this little setup in here, if you want to get an idea where it could go to, that's a good way to sort of analyze it and just see, okay, all right, I've got my zone, which is somewhere around here, potentially push that out, push that out. Don't take it right on the highs, always take it a few cents before, just so you're not getting caught, missing out basically. Then you just follow it up and it starts to push up through that zone, then just make sure you're ready if it does retrace on you. Yeah, so if you like this, so that was just a bit of a side bet. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's get rid of that. Now we've got, looking at that, so we've got this, not so much through here, but you can sort of see it was off that low. We've come all the way back down, and we keep pushing through that low. That's around 230, and we've got a clear, you can see on the weekly anyway, it did close down below there once and then it's rejected back off it. Then it's pushed down on this candle here during this week. It was a weekly chart, isn't it? And rejected, and then the next day it's sort of, sorry, the next week it did the same thing, rejected at some high, daily high low, and then it's pushed this little pop up here. Then you've got that double top. So there's going to be a problem up at 270 potentially. Then the market's pushed back down and washed it out. I like seeing that washout. And then what we're potentially getting through, say 260, if you just remember 260, is that high low, something potentially like that. And if you go through those highs, look, there's a good case for a bit of a setup there. If we go down to the daily, I'm probably not going to get it, am I? Or am I? Is that the level? 340? This is right back in September last year. I think it is, isn't it? Yep. So that's the high there we want. So if we just draw that up, what we're really looking for is that, so push up through here, wasn't it? So that 260. So it looks like that little area, you can see that had that's that big rejection, okay? On the weekly, that's that big rejection. It gapped down, basically into that support, rejected it. Next day was a powerful day back up to close the gap, everything. Built a little inside high low here, popped up, and then we've pulled back, retested, and we're holding that 230 as a major high low. So this is your short-term daily high low. It's not a strong sign, to be buying into that, but off a daily high low, sorry, a weekly high low, just in here at 230 again, as it's pushed back down, retested, and it started to work its way back off. I ideally want to see it push up through 260 before I get too confident, and that would take us, then your first sort of port of call. It's probably not going to be the best trade on a weekly basis. You can always push up to 270 and then just consolidate. Just remember, you don't have to just turn from going down to going up, but what we are looking for is if it presses up through 260, we're at least broken out of that downtrend potentially, and we're looking for an opportunity to head higher. So I think pushing up here is a bit aggressive to buy through 260, but then if it goes up through 270 and then pulls back and build a higher low, that's a lot better case. I think longer term, we're going to start to hold higher lows and build and work our way back up to sort of that 350 zone. So there is a case where if you just pop up through here, you miss it all. If you're waiting for that push up through 270, then pull back to build a higher low. But if you're looking to buy it through 260, your risk has got to be here. Say below that longer term higher low at around that 225 mark. The issue you could run into there is that we just oscillate between that. We just consolidate between 270 and 215. So we're broken out of that downtrend. Doesn't mean we have to go back up, but we can just go and consolidate for a while. Does that make sense here, guys? Greg, does that make sense what I'm trying to explain? Because you have got a key level at 270 just at the moment. Yeah, I'll show you that in just a second there. Actually, we'll just have a quick look at that now so everyone else knows the way I screen stocks. We've got a couple of filters on this. This is programs called Spark, S-P-A-R-K. I think it's a Kiwi platform. You can't trade off it, but it does all the, like we said, you can see the news flow, any stock. You can see the profile. Whoop, if I can click it. My mouse is buggered. You can see the profile, so it shows you what they do, what sort of areas they're in, what, this is telecom, Superloop, communications. And then you can go back and date, you can get some charts on there. You can't actually draw on the charts, which is a bit of a bugger. I'd rather be able to draw on those charts and then keep your levels on the chart, which would be awesome. But then it means it's going to be quite a major program. It's going to take up a lot of data on your hard disk if you start to be able to draw on them. What I ideally do, I like to just use my snipping tool, and if I like it, I'll just save that picture. Say, for instance, this one, if I like this, I'll just save that on a desktop as potential trades to keep an eye out, and just every now and then flick through to see what I've been marking up, so I can actually save the picture, the JPEG. But yeah, this is the Spark, and then we've got, it gives you a few to analyze, just as basic ones. You can have Smart List, they call it here, Smart List. You probably can't see that, can you? No, you can't. All right, so we can actually filter it. So it says what the rises are in the last 15 minutes. You can see here. You can change all that too. You can have rises in the last 15 minutes, rises anything above 100,000 that's done, anything above $1 million. So you can filter it that way, and then you can pick out your ones, rises, fallers, any sorts of things. So I have my little filters. Every now and then I'll just flick through chart. Whoa, don't know what happened there. I'll just drag through, go, oh, that looks all right, and then I'll start putting it on alerts, and I'll just alert it. If I like this, for instance, so if I see, that's probably not the best one. Anyway, oh, what's this? If I like this one, I see, okay, I want to see it push up through 260. I'll put it on my alerts, alert it for 260, where you can do here, put in your price, your high, your low, and if it goes up, you see it goes yellow, pushes up through that 260 zone, then I know I've got to be doing something, or I know I've got to start looking at it or buy it, or I'm starting to see the price action I want to see, what I've planned for, I see it start playing out. Anyway, VJ, I hope that helps, just what we're talking about there, but that's, we've spoken about this before. It's really hard. In the US, you've got programs you can filter through, and you can put all sorts of things, moving average, crossovers, so you can filter them through a lot of different means. It's a lot harder in Australia for some reason. There's not, well, I haven't found. If anyone does find a way to filter, let us know. I know IB have Interactive Brokers have a filtering. They have something where you can filter the stocks. I don't think it works. It doesn't work that well because they're a US-based platform. Doesn't work that well in Australian stocks, and you also, if you want to filter it, you've got to pay for the data on the ASX, which is, I think they charge about $70 a month. So I'm not really keen on paying $70 a month just to filter them. I think this platform does it really well, and I'm always going to be using this platform on Spark. It's really good. Yeah. So yeah, the way I look at it here, I'll just flick through lists, flick through the charts, and once I see the structure that I'm wanting to see, and I have it here, you can flick over between daily and weekly. As long as my weekly's starting to head higher, and my daily is showing some, I like to see a weekly head high, the weekly correcting on a bit of a pullback, so your daily's going lower lows, lower highs, and then it starts to turn. I'm looking for that turn on the daily for potentially another nice leg up on the weekly chart, or you're just looking for that continuation on the daily, sorry. Which means that the daily's heading higher and the weekly's heading higher, and you're just looking for those zones, and that's where you get a lot more technical, I guess. All depends on how you trade. VJ MNF. We'll do that one. I'll probably finish it up there. God, look at that. Looks like the bots have got a hold of this one. The robot, the HFTs, the high frequency traders. Just the way it's stair stepped. Look at that. Look at that stair stepping. What do they do? Let's look at it. What's their profile? What do they do there? Is a provider of internet-based telecommunications services, VoIP. All right. Not kind of an area I like too much. I don't understand it. But anyway, there's no doubt that that's heading higher. $5.50. It's a bit like A2 milk. It just keeps going higher. It's kind of hard for me to buy into something with a pop-up through here. Not saying, so what I'm looking at here, the key things I'm looking at, what am I trying to do? Here we go. So the key things that stand up to me, this is a weekly to start off with. So we've had, no doubt we've had a move up, all right? What we've had here is what we call that complex correction. You've had this big push down, it's come up, it can't get back through the highs. And it's done quite nicely. It's held a high low at 3, but it's done a lot of chop through here. You can see bang, bang, bang. That's nothing like this, you know, up, higher lows, higher highs, all the way up. And you can see the end of that move, it's had a couple of strong days up, and then it's had that good correction lower, bit of a heads up that something's happening. Then you got essentially your double top. The good thing is it's just sort of consolidated. It hasn't had a pullback to break the uptrend on the weekly basis. It's just sort of gone sideways, consolidated until basically your MAs, your trend has caught up to it. Does that make sense? But what it's done is that complex correction. So all this has washed out a few of these buyers that have on this first leg up. It's washed them out. Or, it has. I like to think of it as it's washing people out of the market. It's put some buyers, put some supply back into the sidelines, ready to come back in. And then you get this little pop up. So that's a key thing that you've broken through. You can see. Popped back up, pulled back, built the high low in here. Nice little entry. You know, you can pick an entry through the highs on a weekly or refine it by going to your daily charts. And that's been the start of a new leg up. All right. Then what you've got, a bit of a complex correction back down again. And that's led to this leg up where we are at the moment. So in saying all that, so we've had a nice, healthy, strong leg up, that complex correction that spent over the good part of a year, I think. Is that right? Through 2015, yep. Good part of a year correcting there. And then we've had 2016 was a good year for it, which pushed up through, the start of 2016 up towards the end of 2016. And then we've corrected into 2017 and we started heading higher. So we've taken out these highs at $5. Now, the only thing I'm looking at here off the weekly, that's all really nice. The trend is still up on the weekly, but this leg up, are we getting a bit extended on that leg up? How many times can it keep doing this type of price action? Higher highs, and grinding higher. So are we getting a bit towards the end of that move up, or is there a lot more to go? We don't know that. It's what I'm saying is really it's a on this move up here, it's becoming more of a low probability trade as you head higher. Nothing wrong with that trade. Nothing wrong with buying it through 560, but you just got to bear that in mind. If I bought it through 560, just gunning for these highs here to take out those highs, I'd have my stop just below that 540 mark potentially. You're not risking too much. So what you're just trying to take a chance that this move up is going to continue. It's going to pop up through here, maybe to 580, $6. And then you just got to assess it as you go because you are starting to get a bit extended up here. And you can see that on the weekly's grinding its way up to extended mark. So what that is doing, these moves on the daily are starting to soak up a lot of that buying supply. Soaked them up, put him into the market. So who's left on the sidelines to try to buy this market up again? If your answer is it's starting to run thin of buyers, of buying supply, then would you want to get in? That's pretty much what that's what goes through my head, and I'd like to think it's what goes through everyone else's head. It's nothing to say that you buy it through here and it keeps on going. You come back later on and say, "See, I told you." But I'd always be looking to buy into a higher probability setup than a low probability setup, and that's probably what it is there, I guess. Yeah, so I'm sort of, this could kick up, and then you have what I'd be looking for is that complex correction, buying at the tail end of a complex correction, and that's what we say. That's a complex correction when it takes a lower low, it washes out. So that's a nice healthy washout of buyers, puts them back on the sidelines, and then you start holding this high low. In here would have been opportune trading, that little push up through there if you can trade it, or even through that high. In hindsight, of course, but yeah. Are you in, bub? No, I know. I'm not into that. This one I'm finding a bit tough because you can see that move up has been quite strong. That move up from, say, 45 up through 62, thereabouts. I was actually expecting not to pop out. I'm looking for this. Hopefully this is a bit of a washout of that little high, and we have a bit of a pullback. Then I want to see that high low. The weekly isn't looking too bad at all. You can see the weekly, that move down has been taken out a few buys, but this is a strong leg up, from 15 up to 95. That's nearly 75, 80, 90 cents. Is that right? 85 cents, say, that move up there. So that's got to wash out a few players on this move back here. Have we washed out enough? I don't know. I just don't think that's a nice entry through that high because I don't think it has produced a higher low yet. I just want to see a higher low. Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with that. This could go on without me, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, bugger." But if we saw something, I'd like to see that just below that that high, you know, what we saw just here back at 30 cents. That's when I initially bought that, I think. But anyway, I'd like to see that where it builds these little higher lows and then you've got your entry, where it hasn't really done it yet. That little red candle's not enough for me to wash out any of these little buys here. So I could be left waiting. We'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see how it goes. Nothing wrong with taking a small position anyway. All right, I'll probably have to call it a day there, guys. We'll finish it up. Thanks very much for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed that. And like I said, if you do like what you see in the videos, when you watch it on YouTube, if you can get a chance, just see if you can like it on YouTube on our channel there. It always helps out spreading the word a bit. But like I said, thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back in on Monday for the same type of thing. We'll go over a few what's happened tonight and tomorrow night and chat about that on Monday, see where we're at on Monday, see if we have a bit of a pullback or we just continue to grind. At the moment, we're up 12 points. We've done nothing in that last hour and a quarter since we've been talking. Probably kicked up about 6 points. So, yeah, we'll see how it finishes up today, then finish it up tomorrow and see what happens over the weekend. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. We'll speak to you on Monday. Cheers. Bye.